Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. Happy Valentine's Day. This is a very special In Love with PMDD episode. And I really wanted to do this because it is right in line with what I have going on right now, which is the Passionate PMDD Partners course. So if you've not joined, I'm going to put the link down in the show notes. But this week we were talking all about PMDD and intimacy. And I know so many times when you think about intimacy, you immediately think about sex. And so a lot of times with PMDD, you may feel like, oh, Dr. Rose, like, I don't want my PMDD partner to touch me, or I'm not comfortable in my skin. That's not really what I'm wanting. That's not really what I'm needing. But what I know that every PMDD partner wants and needs is that level of emotional closeness. So when I'm talking about intimacy with your PMDD partner, I'm talking about you feeling close to your PMDD partner, you feeling safe with your PMDD partner, you feeling protected, you feeling supported, you're feeling loved, you're not feeling judged, you're not feeling criticized. You feel like your PMDD partner is your person, and not just your person, but they are your safe place. I remember so many times when I was going through a lot of ups and downs with my ex-PMDD partner, I remember saying, I just want peace. And then there would be these moments where I was with my ex-PMDD partner and everything was just calm. And I felt relaxed, and I felt like my PMDD partner was happy with me. And I felt like all of the troubles, all of the things that we had been going through, I felt like we had overcome them. You know, there's a lot of times you get in your follicular phase and you're feeling loving again, you're feeling connected, and you're like, oh, thank goodness we didn't break up, right? Have you ever had that conversation or even that thought in your mind with your PMDD partner? And you're just saying, thank goodness I didn't let the stress of what happened last month cause us to break up. We made it through another month, and you just feel reaffirmed and reconfirmed that this is your person, this is your partner. And that level of intimacy, there is nothing in the world better than that, because you feel like whatever happens in PMDD, I can handle it because I have my PMDD partner there. They're understanding of me. You know, they're not judging me. They're not criticizing me. So the judging and the criticizing and all of these things that I teach you about, these are the walls in between you and your PMDD partner that is stopping the intimacy. But I want to give you some things today to help you understand how much intimacy impacts your PMDD relationship. And now, again, I'm not saying this just has to do with sex, but what happens is, when you have all of those things taken away, all of the barriers to intimacy, the sex comes. So a lot of times if couples are coming to me and they're saying, you know, Dr. Rose, I'm coming to you because we're not having sex, you know, we're not feeling close, we're not doing this and this and this. It's deeper than just the physicality of having sex. There's a reason why you're not having sex. There's issues that you have that are going on that are blocking you from being in that place of being intimate and being vulnerable. Because I remember when the vulnerability left my relationship with my ex-PMDD partner, I felt lonely. I felt like I wasn't emotionally connected. So let's get into the first one right now. So the first one is emotional disconnection, right? So when you're intimate with your PMDD partner, you're emotionally connected. You know what's going on with them. When you talk to them, you can even look at them. You can see like in their face if something's bothering them. You know, even if they say like everything's fine, you know that something's not fine with them, and they feel safe enough to be able to open up and say, okay, babe, this is what's really going on with me. When you are emotionally connected with your PMDD partner, there's nothing that you feel like you have to hide from them. You don't feel like you have to put on a show. You don't have to put on a facade. You don't have to be a certain way. You can just be your authentic self because you know that you're going to be accepted. And when you don't have that emotional closeness, you're always feeling like you have to put on a show. You're always feeling like you have to act a certain way, be a certain way. And when you're in PMDD, all of that pressure, it causes you more stress because you're overthinking every single thing that you're doing. You're overthinking how you have to show up with your PMDD partner. And if you're the partner that doesn't have PMDD and you're not emotionally connected, you're feeling like you have to keep everything bottled up and you have to keep it all to yourself and you have to just endure everything that you're feeling and thinking on your own. And that's a lonely journey because you don't have an outlet. You don't have anyone that you can go to and really say, these are the emotions that I'm experiencing. I'm experiencing shame. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling mad. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling this. If you don't have that person that you are emotionally connected to in your relationship, you're going to get disconnected. Your partner's not going to really know what's going on with you. You're going to start saying you're fine and they're going to believe you because you're not connected, right? And when you get that loneliness and that isolation, you're going further and further away from each other. So that means when you're struggling, when you're suffering, your PMDD partner is not even going to be able to pick up on it because you're not emotionally connected. It's like taking a plug out of the wall. You can run a vacuum all day long. You can turn the switch on and off, but if it's not connected to the outlet, nothing's going to happen. So think of your relationship like that. If you and your PMDD partner are not connected at the socket where you plug things up, then it's not going to run. It's not going to work. So you may be saying things to your PMDD partner like, I'm suffering because of this, or I need more of this, or I need more of that. And if they're not emotionally connected, they're not going to be compelled to do anything. They're not going to feel your pain. They're not even going to feel like they need to do something in order to help you out of that place because you're not connected. So that's the first way how a lack of intimacy can impact your PMDD relationship. And so the next way, number two, is you have a breakdown in communication. So this is what comes next. After the isolation and you're dealing with a lot of the issues and the problems by yourself, you're not talking to your PMDD partner about what's going on with you anymore. You're not explaining to them why you're upset. So your PMDD partner may be seeing that you're upset. They're seeing that you're triggered. They're seeing that you're bothered, but you're not communicating it to them. And they don't really know what's going on. And when you have a lack of communication, it breaks down the intimacy because you all of a sudden get into storytelling. You start telling yourself stories in your mind as to why your PMDD partner is acting like this because they're not openly communicating with you and saying, I'm struggling because of this. Then you start making up stories in your mind to really help you understand, okay, they're not telling me why they're upset or why they're being short with me or why they're isolating. So I think it's because of this. And a lot of times the stories that you make up in your mind are based off of the insecurities that you have about yourself and the insecurities that you have about the relationship. So all of those insecurities start to come out because your PMDD partner is not communicating with you. So a lot of times this is when you can have accusations of infidelity because you start thinking, if they're not talking to me, then who are they talking to? They're not connecting with me, then who are they connecting to? And so now you're acting differently around your PMDD partner because you're in that place of not really knowing what's going on with them. So it starts with the emotional disconnection, then it starts with the communication breakdown. So number three is there is going to be a lot of bitterness and resentment and tension with your PMDD partner. So if you don't have that intimacy, you're going to have a lot of resentment because you're going to feel neglected. You're going to feel like I shouldn't feel this lonely in my PMDD relationship. I shouldn't feel unfulfilled. I shouldn't feel like I'm not getting my needs met. I deserve better than this. This is a lot of times when the ego comes in and you're like, what's the point of even being in this relationship if my needs aren't being met? My PMDD partner is not trying to meet my needs. I feel like I'm doing everything on my own. I'm doing everything physically on my own. I'm doing everything emotionally on my own. What is the point? So you're going to have a lot of bitterness and resentment towards your PMDD partner, and it's going to start showing up in the relationship. They're going to start snapping on you. They're going to start saying things that are below the belt because they're not getting their needs met. When you remove intimacy and closeness, then your PMDD partner is able to say and do things to you and not even feel bad for it, right? There's kind of a lack of remorse because they're not really caring about your feelings that much. And I know as horrible as that sounds, it's because their needs aren't met. It's not that they genuinely don't love and care about you, but when their needs aren't met, there's a lot of resentment towards that. So they're like, why should I meet your needs? Why should I care about what you have going on with you if I don't have my needs met? Right. And I know your PMDD partner may not even be in a place of saying this to you, but I'm telling you it's what they're thinking. Because if there's no intimacy, if you're just saying, if your PMDD partner comes to you and then they're the partner that doesn't have PMDD and they're like, I want to be more intimate. I want to have more sex. I want to hold hands. I want to be close to you. I want to, all these things. And you're not giving into that and you're not giving them the intimacy that they need, then you may be coming to me and saying, Dr. Rose, my PMDD partner is not being supported. And I always go back to how emotionally close are you? How intimate? When is the last time you've been intimate? And by intimate, again, I don't just mean sex. When is the last time you've held your partner's hands? When is the last time that you've actually kissed your PMDD partner, passionately kissed them? I mean, sometimes you can get really robotic, right? You can get really robotic in your PMDD relationship, especially when you're in PMDD and you're just like checking the block. You're like, I'm hugging them, I'm kissing them, I'm saying good morning, I'm saying good night, I'm sending loving texts, I'm kissing them when I walk in the house, I'm kissing them when I leave. But when is the last time that you actually kissed your PMDD partner like you did in the beginning when you first got into the relationship where nothing else mattered? Seems like the world stopped. You just looked at them, you felt all of those endorphins, all the cortisol levels were down. There was no stress, there was no barrier. You just fell and leaned in, right? If you're my private client, you know what I mean when I say lean in. One of my biggest mantras, my biggest tools is just lean in and be loving. And I want you to really think about that right now. When is the last time that you leaned into your PMDD partner and you know what that feels like? You know it feels like your PMDD partner has got your back. You love them, you're attracted to them, you want to be close to them. When is the last time you've done that? Because a lot of times when there's no intimacy, even when you get into your follicular days, that you don't have those times. You may have times where there's less stress and you have fun with them and you're able to enjoy yourself and do little things. But when is the last time that you've had that level of intimacy where you really leaned in? Because when you do that, what that does for you when you're in PMDD is it lowers your cortisol levels, your stress, and you feel like you can endure a lot of your suffering because you have that intimacy with your PMDD partner. Think of it as like this: your partner's laying on the couch and you're all over the place. You're flailing, in PMDD, you're suffering because of this, you're suffering because of that. And they just say, come here, babe, like come over to the couch. Like, and then they just bring you in. You just lay on them. When is the last time you just laid on your PMDD partner? Maybe they rubbed your hair, maybe they kissed you on the forehead. Like, when is the last time you've had that? Because that is what real intimacy is. It is you feeling safe, you feeling close, you feeling connected, you feeling loved. And all of that will lead to the sex. So if you're the partner that's just like, I really just need sex, like it's been a long time since we've had it, we can't survive without it. It's gonna come. It's literally. Right. So it's a matter of getting past the barriers, right? So the next thing that happens, number 4, is when you have a lack of intimacy in your PMDD relationship, it can really mess with your self-esteem. You're going to begin to wonder if your PMDD partner is even attracted to you anymore. I know a lot of times you may be thinking to yourself, well, how is it that I can walk around, like say if you're getting out the shower, you're walking around in your towel, or maybe, if you're the partner that doesn't have PMDD, you're walking around with your bra on, or you're walking around with your shirt off, or whatever it is, and your PMDD partner is just not affected. They're not looking at you like, wow, that, I'm attracted to you. They're not trying to touch you. They're not saying, hey, come here. Like, you can pretty much be walking around stark naked and they're just like, do, 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 do. They're unaffected. When there's a lack of intimacy, even if you're attracted to your PMDD partner, there's a lack of desirability. And when there is a lack of desirability, you're not desiring your PMDD partner, they're going to get insecure and it's really going to impact their self-esteem. And when your PMDD partner's self-esteem is impacted, it impacts every single thing that they do. It impacts them at work, it impacts them with the children, it impacts them with the chores, because they're constantly thinking, why doesn't my PMDD partner want me? Why doesn't my PMDD partner need me? Why doesn't my PMDD partner desire me? Maybe I'm not good enough for my PMDD partner. Maybe they would be better off with someone else. Like maybe they're more attracted to someone else. So then they start to get really jealous and insecure. And then you start beating yourself up and almost picking yourself apart. And all of this started from you having a lack of intimacy. Because when you're intimate with your PMDD partner, just imagine waking up and pulling your partner close to you. You're laying in bed, pulling them close to you. You know, I'm really big on like brushing teeth before. So I've literally been that person that literally gets out of bed. I will brush my teeth, you know, wash my face, do whatever, and get back in bed. You know what I mean? I've done that so many times just because I want to be able to deeply and passionately kiss my PMDD partner without it being like morning breath, right? So maybe you don't care about that. I actually care. So maybe it's a matter of you getting in bed and you just like pulling them close to you and you kissing them, and it ends up being that you're making love first thing in the morning. How great does that feel when you start your day like that? How great does that feel for you to just start your day really intimately connecting with your PMDD partner and then getting out of bed and starting your day? You don't have any questions about whether you're desirable. You don't have any questions about, you know, whether your PMDD partner wants to be with you or whether you're good enough. You don't have those questions because you already connected with them intimately when you started your day. And sometimes that's the best thing that you can get for your PMDD symptoms, because it stops your overthinking, because you're like, oh no, like, you know, I know my PMDD partner wants me. So when you have these insecure thoughts in your mind, you have something to say about it. You're like, oh no, 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 I know that's true. I know my PMDD partner wants me. Like they couldn't keep their hands off of me this morning. You know what I mean? So when you have that intimacy, you don't have those questions, but a lack of that, meaning you're having a lot of questions, your self-esteem is really impacted. So the next thing, number 5, and this is something that I really don't think that a lot of PMDD partners recognize, but it can actually cause your PMDD symptoms to be worse when you have a lack of intimacy in your PMDD relationships. It is going to exasperate your PMDD symptoms, such as mood swings. Your mood is going to be up and down because you don't know what's going on with your PMDD partner. It's going to cause that overthinking, which impacts your emotions. It's going to cause you to have a heightened level of anxiety. So these are symptoms that we already have in PMDD. But now that you don't have the intimacy with your PMDD partner, you're having a heightened level of anxiety. And then you know what else is going to be impacted? Your PMDD depression. You're going to be feeling so bad about yourself because you don't know if you're desirable. You already feel bad about yourself in PMDD. And now that you don't have your PMDD partner affirming you, you don't have your PMDD partner making you feel better about yourself. So now you're going to get into that realm of depression. The stress of your relationship problems with your partner is going to amplify all of the existing symptoms that you have. And it's going to create this vicious cycle of stress in your PMDD relationship. It's going to cause everything to be magnified. So if you're already having depression, you're going to have more because you have that lack of intimacy. If you're already feeling on edge and anxiety, you're going to have more of that because you don't know what's going on with your PMDD partner. I remember so many times when I was, you know, intimacy was gone from my relationship, I felt horrible about myself. I'm like, I can't even get this right. You know, like I can't even be a good PMDD partner. You know, I can't even, you know, make my PMDD partner feel loved. The intimacy wasn't there. I remember like looking and trying to look and connect with my PMDD partner, and that lack of connection hurt my feel. Like it hurt me so bad because I felt like we're distant, right? We were already long distant, and now we were emotionally distant, even when you're like in each other's presence. How many times have you been out on a date night where you're knowing that you need more intimacy in your PMDD relationship, and you're like, I know we need to spend more time together, but you even go to spend time together and you're not emotionally connecting. You're just sitting there at the restaurant You're not looking at each other. You're not talking about things that really matter. You're just kind of checking the block. And it makes you feel horrible about yourself because this is when it goes into number 6. You're going to have a diminished satisfaction with your PMDD relationship. When you start removing intimacy, when there's a lack of intimacy with your PMDD partner, you are going to start to feel less satisfied with the relationship as a whole. You're going to start to feel like, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed with where I am with my relationship. And I want you to just ask yourself that. Are you disappointed with where you are in your PMDD relationship? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank your PMDD relationship right now? Right now, 1 to 10, 10 being the best, and 1 being the least. And if you're like at that 5 or 6 level and you're teetering, this is why I created the Passionate PMDD Partners course, is to get you to move towards the direction of adding in more intimacy before your PMDD relationship. Because when you start to go down to the 1s and 2s, it's really hard to build it back up because you constantly feel like you're trying, I'm doing everything. But when you're so emotionally disconnected, it's hard to connect because it's not something that you can just say, hey, we need to connect. And then it automatically happens because you may be going through months and even years of not being connected to your PMDD partner, but it starts with weeks. It starts with days. It starts with hours. That's why I always say, whenever you feel like you're going down below a number 5, below mid-level, always get help sooner rather than later, because it's going to be really hard to even convince your PMDD partners to say, hey, I think we need to get help with the intimacy, because they may be feeling helpless and hopeless. Because when your PMDD partner starts to feel like, well, I guess this is just how it's going to be. I guess this is just how our relationship is going to be. You start saying things like, well, it's not that bad. Like if you're saying it's not that bad, it's that bad. Because now you're rationalizing having a new level, a new standard for your PMDD relationship that is way less than what you really want. You're trying to convince yourself that the level of intimacy that you have with your PMDD partner is good enough to survive. You already have to survive PMDD. Why would you feel like you want to have to survive your PMDD relationship? Your PMDD relationship is supposed to be adding value to your life, taking away some of the stress that you're dealing with PMDD, not adding to it. You don't want to pile on relationship stress on top of PMDD stress. That's how it gets overwhelming. And that's how we get to number 7, which is the increased level of conflict and PMDD fights in your relationship and PMDD rage. So when you don't have intimacy with your PMDD partner, you're already on edge. You're easily triggered. The least amount of things that your PMDD partner does, it triggers you to the point where you're just like, I can't deal with this right now. You feel frustrated, right? And when you have those arguments and disagreements, every single time you go off or your PMDD partner goes off on you, it further escalates all of the issues that you're having in your PMDD relationship. So anytime you have an issue that you maybe could have dealt with, very minimally and just, like, hey, I feel like this, your PMDD partner may not even want to talk to you about your feelings because they're so on edge. They're so dissatisfied with the relationship that every issue just to be like, here we go again. There's always an issue with you. You're always getting triggered. It's always going to be like this. Like your PMDD partner may get so annoyed and seem like every single thing is a trigger. Every single thing is a fight. Every single thing is an argument. So then when you go to them and you even say like, hey, I want to get help. Like I want us to get, better and stuff. They may be annoyed because you have to remember they're starting off with not having their needs met. And now they're having to, experience more conflict and fights and stuff. So they may think that getting help is just going to make it worse. Right. They may feel like if I go to Dr. Rose and we have a session, it's just going to bring up stuff. I just feel like it's better if we just cover it up. I feel like it's better if we just don't talk about it. I feel like it's better if we ignore it. And what happens is when you ignore the issues that you have because of a lack of intimacy, you're just getting more and more distant from your PMDD partner. And what that leads us to number 8, you have a really big strain on trusting your PMDD partner and having that level of security. You don't feel safe. When you don't have intimacy in your PMDD relationship, you don't feel safe and secure and connected to your PMDD partner. You're going to start to doubt your relationship and you're going to start to doubt yourself. You're going to feel really insecure and you may start to get jealous about your PMDD partner going to work, going to the store, going to all these things because you don't feel secure in the relationship. Whenever there is insecurities, it's because you don't feel safe. You don't trust your PMDD partner. You feel like you're like, I know there's no intimacy in the relationship. Because here's the thing, you know that they're not satisfied. You're not satisfied. You know they're not satisfied. So you're thinking, I mean, it's a good possibility that they could go and be with someone else, that they could go and cheat on me because guess what? They're not satisfied with me. Maybe they're looking to get satisfied with somebody else. There's a level of security that you feel when you're intimate with your PMDD partner. Remember that scenario I talked to you about earlier? When you wake up in the morning and you're intimately connecting with your PMDD partner, you go off to work, you're not thinking that they're talking to a coworker inappropriately. You're not thinking they're going to the grocery store inappropriately. But if you know that you haven't been intimate, you haven't touched, kissed, hugged, any of those things with your PMDD partner in 40 days or 40 nights, then it's very likely that they're going off and maybe someone else is attracted to them, especially if your partner is attractive. Like if you find your PMDD partner attractive, then other people will find them attractive. So then now you're feeling insecure because you feel like you're leaving the door open and it's causing, you may be going crazy in your mind overthinking about this. What are they going to do? Are they going to do this? And you may bring it up to them. And even if they're not doing anything, it's just causing them to feel more and more distant from you because they're feeling like you don't get me. You know what I mean? When your PMDD partner feels like you don't trust them, it's making the intimacy even less. Because it's like now you're accusing me of things, it's causing more conflict, and it goes into the next thing, which is number 9, the avoidance behaviors. I have an avoidant attachment style when I go into PMDD every single time. I already want more space, I withdraw. But when you have a lack of intimacy, it means that your PMDD partner is not even going to want to be around you because there's no reason to. There's nothing that's like drawing them closer to you. You may feel like every single time I communicate with my PMDD partner, there's conflict and there's fights. So they may start to avoid you. They may start to be like, I'm really busy. I always have something going on. They may be making themselves busy from the sun up to the sun down just to avoid you because there's no intimacy. There's no desirability with being around you because it's always a fight. It's always an argument. It's always conflict. It's always tension. So this is why I have the Passionate PMDD Partners course. It's a 4-week course. And right now for the month of February, while the course is going on, because we're meeting every single week, it's only $49. I made it very, very, very affordable for the month. But after that, it's going to go back up to full price, which is $99. But anyway, it's just 4 sessions. So it's you get the workbook, you get to work through it. You can do it on your own. It's self-paced. You can do it with your PMDD partner. You can do it without them, but it's going to give you the tools to specifically get that intimacy back. Again, sooner rather than later. If this is February, if you know that you're 2023, with your PMDD partner, the intimacy was consistently going down, 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 down. That's how it was for me. It was levels to it, right? It didn't just immediately go away. It's just 1 month we just started to just not have intimacy. Certain things start going away. You stop holding hands, you stop kissing, you stop having conversations where you're really connecting and feeling like you're understood. You stop feeling supported. Little by little, the intimacy can start to leave your PMDD relationship. And so number 10, and this is the biggest one, and you already know what happened with my PMDD relationship, is a risk of the PMDD monthly breakups, right? So ultimately, when you prolong a lack of intimacy and emotional connection, it is increasing the risk of a PMDD monthly breakup. It is just, you're putting yourself more at risk because your PMDD partner is feeling unfulfilled. They're not getting their needs met. They're not happy in the relationship. And so it's going to come to a point where they may feel like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I can't be in this relationship. It's hurting me too much to not be emotionally connected to my partner. I can't sustain this relationship. And that's what ultimately happened over time. Now, with my relationship, there were other factors, but it was definitely the lack of emotional closeness and the lack of intimacy was one of the biggest reasons for my breakup. Because I felt like there's nothing that I can do that's making this better. Like it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And we're so far apart. And when you added an hour long distance with our emotional distance and lack of intimacy, there's nothing sustaining it, right? So there's a reason why it's called being in an intimate relationship. There's certain things that you're supposed to have with your relationship with your partner that you don't have in any other relationship. There's a certain level of closeness that you're supposed to have with your partner that is supposed to be above any other relationship with any other person. And when you remove that and that relationship with your PMDD partner becomes just like every other relationship, or it becomes more of a burden, then you're going to start to weigh your options and say, well, I'm not happy. They're not happy. And sometimes for us with PMDD, it's very hurtful to know that your PMDD partner is not happy. Like it almost hurts you to see. When I start to notice and feel and see that my PMDD partner wasn't happy, he was actually really vocal, and like, I don't feel loved. I don't feel all of these things. And I was just like, wow, like it hurts, because when you feel like you're trying your best and your PMDD partner still doesn't feel loved and you're doing everything that you know to do, then you start to lose hope in your PMDD relationship. And I don't want you to get to that point. So if you're listening to these 10 ways that a lack of intimacy can destroy your PMDD relationship, and you're feeling like, yeah, that's where we are. We don't have this and we don't have this. I want you to join the Passionate PMDD Partners course and get the specific tools that are related to PMDD, because there's a lot of things out there that can really help you on a general basis. Like I know generally there's a lot of things on love and relationships that you can get, but this is specifically designed for PMDD. It is going to help you and it's going to help your PMDD partner to get that intimacy back, to get that passion back, so that you can feel connected and you don't have to feel insecure. You don't have to overthink. You don't have to have your PMDD symptoms be worse. You can kind of get that safety and security of like, yes, me and my PMDD partner may be going through a lot of things, but at the end of the day, I know that this is my person. So get that course, go to the link in the show notes, go to inlovewithpmdd.com. And until next time, we got this. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners Workbook. What this workbook can do is, if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start Workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things, so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship, so you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.